All right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the YouTube. You join me at my kitchen table, funnily enough, and quite fitting that I'm sitting here because we've made it to episode 5, and I think this one is going to be an FDOE or full day of eating. So I have made it 5 episodes in before following the trend, but yeah, today is again a little bit of a strange day for me. I'm off work today and tomorrow. I'd actually booked off today because I am going to see June 2 in IMAX with Jake at 5 o'clock, and whenever I thought about it, I was like, well, I can't not train legs. It's a Thursday, so I just decided, right, I'll get the day off work and sort that. And then tomorrow I have off for a similar reason. So it's a guy in my work's leaving do tomorrow night. I've known about this since prep started. I think I may have mentioned it in one of the previous videos and also quite a bit in the podcast. I'm actually having an off plan tomorrow, guys, which, yeah, I know, crazy. Off plan on prep. I do have AJ's permission to, get what I'm going to get. So, yeah, I am heading out tomorrow night with the lads from work. It'll be somewhat civil, like, if I can, I'm just going to stick to 0% alcohol options and stuff. But we literally never go out. I don't think I've been out with the lads really since Christmas 2024, to be honest. So, yeah, with the guy leaving and he's not coming back, these are the sorts of social events which, to be honest, you can't really say no to. It's not like you're doing it every single week. And given the fact I'm still 10 plus weeks out and in a very good spot, it's, you can totally get away with doing these things. Saying that, I already know what I'm getting at Ordo. There'll be no starter, there'll be no dessert, it'll just be a main. But I am getting a pizza, I'm not getting a salad. So yeah, obviously got that to look forward to as well. With that in mind, it did just make sense for me to take tomorrow off too and get my session in beforehand. So 2 days, a little bit out of routine here, I guess, as a result. Obviously not, following the schedule I'd be used to and getting sessions in a bit earlier in the day. Today's Thursday, so it's legs. I filmed this session not too long ago, so I'm actually not going to film today's session. I'll film upper tomorrow instead, but I will hopefully remember to take you through every single one of my meals today. Now, just to preface before we kick this off, as most of you will know, I am not a meal planner. I am not an if it fits your macro either. I'm sort of somewhere in between. AJ gives me my macros. I then go and choose to, deploy whatever I see fit to hit those numbers. However, I do have pretty much the same meals every single day. Today might be a little bit of a deviation from that, just given the fact I did wake up 2 hours later than normal. Because, yeah, I know I harped on about it at the start of the last video. Sleep is still proving to be a bit of an issue. If I'm off work, I'm going to take advantage and, catch up on a few hours that I wouldn't be fortunate enough to be able to do so otherwise. So yeah, I got 8 hours in last night, which felt good. The turbo dreams paid off, to be fair. I've been using it since Monday and I have actually really noticed the difference. So definitely do rate Engineered Turbo Dreams. Not sponsored. I am sponsored by Nubian though, so don't forget to use code CBAM10 at checkout whenever you're placing an order with them. But yeah, no, the reason I'm looking at my phone here, I've planned out what I'm having today, meals wise already. I actually have put 5 meals in here, which is a little bit surprising. The last one though was actually 0 carb. Well, is it? It's 10 grams of carbs. But yeah, guys, I'll obviously take you through them as the day goes on. I don't meal prep too much. As I said in the very first YouTube video, I tend to prep like one main meal. So whether that be like, mince, it tends to be, 5% beef mince and rice and veggies. And that'll be like that's what I've prepped that week. Sometimes I prep 3 of them, sometimes 6. This week it's been 6 because I bought some additional mince. So I've got that, which will definitely be going in at some stage. Everything else, I just cook fresh just because I tend to prefer that. On the days I'm in work, obviously that is not the case. I'll just take like a cream of rice or a rice pudding. I've actually been trying to finish off the last of my ESN rice pudding. Yeah, sometimes I've been taking that with whey and then a fat source as well. But yeah, guys, no, that is the POA for today. As I said, heading to the cinema with Mr. Byers as well, so I'm sure I'll take you along for that. And then we'll get in for upper tomorrow and see sort of what awaits us after that. All right, guys, so meal 1 of the day. We have got 1 egg, 300 grams of egg whites, 2 slices of, mate, people are gonna slap me for this. It's sourdough, but it's not, like it's definitely not sourdough. There's definitely more ingredients in here than just water, wheat flour. Yeah, there's fucking loads of shit in here. Soya flour, dried rye. Yeah. Dominic would probably be losing his nut right now at that, but we have 2 slices of it left. It's the only bread in the house, mate, so that's what's getting nailed for breakfast, because I've realised, you know, timed this really well. Full day of eating, but I definitely need to head to Tesco's to grab some more produce. That's safe to say anyway. I usually do my shopping on a Thursday or Friday anyway. It's usually a Friday night, admittedly, but I went last Thursday, so that's probably why. Yeah, we've got this, and then I've actually just decided, you know what, there's not enough protein in 300 grams of egg whites and an egg, so I've fired in these as well. These Malins pork sausages, man, I use these all the time, and I know there'll be people seeing this and going, Cameron, I can't believe you're using low fat, high protein pork sausages on prep. Deal with it, mate. I enjoy them, and it's calories in versus calories out, honestly. It's just not that deep. Like, do I have them every day? No. Some days I'll have besa, some days I'll like vary my food sources up. It's what I said at the start of the video, like my nutrition plan sticks the majority of the time to the same meals. Like, I can't think of a single day so far in prep I've not started the day with egg whites, an egg, and some bread of some form. It's not always fixed, but yeah, sometimes I do add the sausages in as well. I do have the full pack. There's 6 in there, but they're really not that big. Again, why have I elected to do this today? Because I've just woke up 2 hours later and I could probably benefit from a larger meal 1. Because yeah, I just know, given how I'm feeling right now, 4 meals is probably the play today, to be honest. But I have stuck to my 5, but whenever I said there was 10 grams of carbs in it, the final meal for today, guys, you know, sorry to spoil the end of the video, but the final meal is what is that, 300 grams of Greek yogurt, nada else. So yeah, no, you will probably see this with me. Some of my meals are not exactly staples in terms of, like, you know, you'll see like guys, coaches in particular, who are trying to portray the absolute ideal on Instagram. You know, they'll have colours in every single meal, they'll have veg in every single meal, fruit with every single meal. Definitely not the case with me. Never has been, really. And I'm not being like dismissive of that. I'm just saying that that's not what I do. I'm sure there is value in that. I'm sure you probably feel better for it. And don't get me wrong, I know at the end of prep, yeah, I'm sure at the end of prep I'll be using, you know, like 200 grams of mushrooms, for example, in this meal, but there's no need for that right now. Like, I'm not that hungry. I don't have that sort of level of hunger yet, and yeah, I also, to be frank, just can't be bothered with slicing up veg and mushrooms every single meal. At the moment, it's just Admittedly, probably could have done so today, given that I'm off work, but like, whenever I'm making this meal, technically on company time normally, it's just like, no, like just get the meal made, get it thrown together, and then get obviously back to my desk. But yeah, when this is thrown together, I'll show you the finished result. Sauces wise, I am still using ketchup, reduced sugar ketchup, and if you don't know, get to know for prep. Tabasco for me is like a secret weapon. Like, I was using it throughout. There's like no calories in it whatsoever. It's obviously just pure fucking chili oil. But even like whenever I removed ketchup in 2023, I was using Tabasco pretty much flat out, just to add a bit of flavour to things. But I am salting all my meals. Funnily enough, AJ has told me to start the actual salting protocol. So 5 grams of pink salt, 5 grams of low salt per day, spread across each of my meals. I haven't actually started it yet. I'm going to do so on Monday, just because realistically, what difference is it going to make at this stage? Don't get me wrong, I'm lean, definitely now, like coming up to 15 weeks out, but I'm not so lean that I'm going to have like cramps and stuff in the middle of the night in my calf, because I'm not obviously staying on top of things from a sodium perspective, or fluid intake is way off. Like, I'm still, to be fair, probably not even drinking that much as far as litres of water goes. So yeah, anyway, I will check in with you when this is wrapped up and show you the finished result. Sorry, right, so something else I should have said. I highly recommend doing this if you're making eggs and you're on prep, even if you're in a diet, to be fair. Obviously, who doesn't like scrambled egg? To me, scrambled egg is like the king of methods of preparing eggs, right? But it's also the worst in terms of, you literally, unless you have like a fucking 200-pound pan, you end up losing so much scrambled egg on the side of the pan. And realistically, whenever you're eating less, we don't really want to be losing any food volume, do we? So yeah, what I would highly recommend doing is switching to just making it like you would make an omelette. So mix up your egg whites, fire them in a pan, let them sit on the hob for like 5 minutes until the bottom starts to somewhat cook, and then put your grill on and fire the pan into the grill. I mean, I'm sure people already know about this, but like, doing that's obviously going to help cook the top just quite a bit quicker, and to be honest, it's just a bit nicer. Especially if, as I said, you have things like mushrooms or like cheese or whatever on top of that. And then obviously whenever you get it out, fold it in two, and it literally comes off the pan without like no waste of food whatsoever. It's just a lot more efficient in terms of, you know, getting as much food out of it as possible, in my opinion. So yeah, that's one I would recommend doing as well. All right, so finished product for meal one. The total macros for this meal are 59 grams of carbs, 88 protein, and 11 fat. Now, again, is this more protein than I would probably recommend getting in one meal? Yes. Is it going to kill you having this much once in a while? No. And also, I should have mentioned, half the reason I even used the sausages as part of this meal today is because they are, well, the best by date is today. So yeah, I was going to use them tomorrow. One other thing, right? If you're dieting and you're using sauces, you absolutely need to remember that whenever you are setting the scale to 0 with the sauce on it, right? Because trust me, this shit does matter. Like, whenever you get further along, you do need to be tracking things like down to the gram, even with sauces especially. Because the amount of people who literally, even like not on a show prep, they'll check in with me and be like, oh, I've been totally on track this week, blah, blah, blah. And then we find out that they're not weighing sauces and they've been using about 100 calories of chili sauce every day. So yeah, anyway, this tip is more so for people that are dieting, or if you're on prep. You need to remember to unflip the cap before you 0 the thing. If not, it just throws everything off massively. So here, for example, I'm gonna be lovely. I reckon, I mean, that's 24, so I've got a little bit more. Yeah, 30 grams. I tend to try to keep every meal to like 30 grams, to be honest, because any more and it's a little bit excessive anyway, but also just sauces, they're probably not going to be in throughout the entirety of prep, right? I do think I kept ketchup in this meal even during peak week and stuff last year in 2023, last time out. So I don't know, we'll see. But like, yeah, this does tend to be fair, the only meal that I really utilize sauces in anyway, if you don't count salsa, which I have in my meal 3. But again, super low calorie, so there's no real drama around that. But yeah, gonna dig into this again, certainly nothing glamorous. Enjoy this and then crack on probably with a bit of work for a bit before I head to the barber's to get this mop sorted out.
Right, fair enough,
All right, guys, so haircut sorted, and I actually ended up going to do the shopping because I know I mentioned this morning that there wasn't much in the house. So I've got a full, pretty much weekly shop here. I'm not gonna lie, lads, because I'm on prep, I do find sometimes I run out of things. So I would say, yes, this is the weekly shop, but I do probably end up going to Tesco's once more during the week. But I do prefer to just get the majority of the shopping done. Last prep, I actually intentionally went to Tesco's pretty much every day just to get more steps in and pick stuff up as and when I needed it. And to be honest, I just don't have time to do it anymore, and it's also probably just not the most optimal use of your time. So one big shop. This was quite an expensive one. This was like 80 quid, but admittedly there was stuff in there like fucking toothpaste and shower gel and stuff, which you're not buying every week, and that definitely adds to things as well. The Monster is also not an inclusion. I got that in Spar yesterday because they're made Spar in Northern Ireland. We're doing some crazy deal where it's like £4.50 for a box of 9. So needless to say, I did take advantage and picked up 5. So obviously peppers, pineapple I've already pulled out. Sushi rice, it's just the goat rice. I really do believe that. I'm now a convert. I've only been using it for a couple of weeks, but definitely the best variety of rice that you can use. Frozen blueberries, these are like an absolute staple for me. 100 grams on top of oats or cream of rice or something like that. That's kind of the norm for me as far as final meals or sometimes meal 2 goes. Obviously, 2 more packs. This time we've got turkey rather than pork because the dates were better. 2 more packs of those high protein sausages. Again, just a bit of enjoyment. As well, I've got 4 of these high protein yogurts, the Cavarge variety. These are sick, to be honest. Again, an absolute staple for me on prep. Pretty sure for the majority of prep 2023, 300 grams of those, sometimes with 100 grams of blueberries or another variety of berry on top. That was kind of the norm for me for my final meal for at least 2 or 3 months towards the back end of prep. Prawns, I do use prawns quite a bit. Admittedly, they're very expensive. The dates on these are solid. I tend to use them on a Monday after work just because they're already cooked. I can fry them in with some rice and have that as my pre-workout meal. So if you've watched the previous vlog, and I was chatting through obviously how I go from work straight to Arkham on a Monday, most of the time that pre-workout meal will be 2 packs of these, which is about 50 grams of protein and 50 grams of sushi rice at this stage. No veggies because I just like to be deficient in micros, but yeah, also I probably could get some veg in that meal. I just haven't done so yet. 2 cartons of egg whites. This realistically is probably not enough for the week. There's only 500 grams in this, which I tend to use 300 grams per day. So realistically there's 3 days worth there, but I only do use egg whites on the work from home days. 500 grams of 5% mince. Make sure if you're using, see, to be honest, I would even recommend in the off season, unless your calories get super high, that you utilize, it would help if I held it up the right way, the 5% variety of mince. I would just keep that in the off season, to be honest. I'd rather get my fats from elsewhere other than within meat. That's nice. The base has just leaked over my hands, but I've got 3, if I could get these in, 3 packs of base of fillets. There's 2 per pack, and yeah, base is just a very, very good option, to be honest, now for me as a protein source. I think it's getting increasingly popular as well. There's been a few Instagram reels that have gone viral with people using it. It's very cheap. It's like £2 for one of those, and there's 50 grams of protein in there. And see, to be honest, I know a lot of people are kind of put off of it because they think that it's going to taste like fish, but it really doesn't, to be honest. It sort of tastes of nothing. The closest fish I could compare it to is like cod, which you get from the fish and chip shop, and it's obviously not like super fishy. Like, you're not going to stink after it. I still probably wouldn't take it into work, like, but it's good for, you know, days where I'm working from home for a quick meal, 2 or 3. And then finally, I am still using, I'm a big fan of this Old El Paso Street Vibes Sweet Jalapenos. Again, if I'm using this, I am tracking it. 2 tablespoons, sorry, is about 30 calories. And just, again, totally changes a meal. I'm actually about to get my second meal today in, and there's 30 grams of that in, so I'll show you in a minute. Outside of that, guys, obviously we've got monsters, things like oats, cream of rice, rice pudding, whey, all of those, you know, obviously make up the diet as well. It's not just this. But that, in terms of groceries, is what tends to get me through a week. Fat sources, I tend to stick to avocado, peanut butter, or dark chocolate, which I have plenty of right now. So I obviously didn't need to stock up. But yeah, no, that really does it for the grocery haul. Kind of short and sweet. 80 quid though, as I said. Now, admittedly, 20 quid of that's still in the bag and, you know, deodorant and all that stuff, but it's kind of mad how much food, or how little food, sorry, you actually get for your money in this day and age. All right, guys, so meal 2 for today, pre-workout meal. This is kind of a rare one for me, as I tend to avoid savory meat plus rice plus whatever sort of dishes as a pre. I try to stick to sort of sweet pre-workouts, so like cream of rice or oats or something. But with the way things have worked today with heading to the cinema post-workout, I do want to have my cream of rice then, just so I'm not stinking out the cinema. And also, I would rather have cream of rice cold in comparison to mince and rice cold. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. So yeah, swap things around there a tad. We've got 50 grams of sushi rice. We've got some peppers in here and 250 grams of 5% lean beef mince, 50 grams of avocado, and 30 grams of that Old El Paso salsa that I just bought more of there today. So yeah, this is gonna act as the pre-meal. I've obviously got legs today, so I'm gonna head straight after I get this. The drive is about half an hour, so, you know, I'd say by the time I get there, realistically, I'll be ready enough to train by the time I get my logbook sorted. But I also do want to be able to take today's session a little bit slower, hoping that with the time I'm going to train as well, the dock will be a fair bit quieter. Probably need to be leaving the gym for around 4 o'clock, so to be fair, if I'm there for about 1, I should have 3 hours to get legs in, which is more than enough. Yeah, should be grand with that. And then obviously afterwards, heading from Ballynahinch to Craigavon to the cinema. My meal 3 is going to be 50 grams of cream of rice, 70 grams of banana, and I believe it was 40 grams of whey I put in it. Would need to check my fitness pal, but I'm just obviously I'm going through that now just in case I can't speak by the time I'm eating it in the cinema. And I would say that will probably end up just being accompanied by a rather large Coke Zero, given the runtime of Dune Part 2. I think it's nearly a 3-hour film. yeah, very much looking forward to obviously that. Dune is probably one of my favorite film franchises of all time. It's not up there with Star Wars, like, well, it's up there with Star Wars, but it's not quite at that level for me. Maybe that's nostalgia as well though, but part two, I mean, mate, like it's up there with Revenge of the Sith for me in terms of like my favorite films ever. Yeah, unbelievable experience. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend watching it if you can in IMAX, but obviously getting to the cinema to be able to experience it in IMAX, it's a little bit rarer these days, hence why me and Jake wanted to go today. And obviously the third one's coming out at the end of the year as well, which I'm very, very excited for. That'll be a nice treat post-prep for sure, and obviously pre-Christmas as well. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to shut up now, guys. Going to get this into me, and then, yeah, obviously head to the gym, but I will catch you whenever I'm getting my next meal in. All right, guys, so we've made it to the tremendous Craigavon Omniplex. Post-workout, obviously, meal 3 going down, if you couldn't tell. As I said earlier, 50 grams of cream of rice. This is Trained by JP custard cream. 40 grams of TWP chocolate coconut whey, I believe, which I can hardly taste. Don't really know if I'm a fan of it, and I should be. And 70 grams of banana, so nothing too spectacular. Some pink Himalayan salt in there as well. But yeah, I'm obviously just waiting for Jake to show up here. So he obviously lives closer to here than me, so I would say he'll probably rock up late as per. To be fair, that's unfair. Jake's actually pretty good with times. Me and Butcher are worse, I would say. But yeah, no, it should be good. Obviously, very much looking forward to this. That session was a little bit meh, I'm not gonna lie. But then again, I trained on 2 meals. What is my hair at? That's good, that. I trained on 2 meals, and yeah, I don't really know if I like that, to be honest. I would much rather, I know I said this on the podcast, I would much rather have like a full day of food in me. Yeah, just didn't feel tremendous. I dropped quite a few reps, like 1 rep on most of my top sets, which obviously is a bit of a melt. I did progress though on my single leg press, so I suppose take the small wins. Yes, this is going to happen to a degree, you know, throughout prep. Like, I've lost a kilos, over a kilo, since the last rotation, because obviously the body weight drops at this stage are still quite large, but it doesn't make it any easier to comprehend, you know. But you also just can't really beat yourself up about these things. Like, have I lost muscle as a result of that today? No. Have I been nailing my protein? Yeah. I've probably not lost any muscle, mate. In fact, you'll probably find that next rotation, I might have a better session without dropping the weight. I think the one thing I probably need to drop is leg extension top set today. That just didn't feel as mega as it did last week. And obviously joint health is something I'm trying to be conscious of throughout this whole process. But yeah, I probably will drop my top set, but outside of that, I'll probably just keep the load on everything else the same, to be honest. Next week, and I'll probably have a better session, you know. I do think there's something to be said about, you know, making drastic decisions whenever it comes to dropping the load on exercises in a prep or a diet. I've definitely been guilty in the past. Don't get me wrong, make sure you get a good set in, and it's not a big deal to drop the stack by a pin on a leg extension if you think you're going to get a better set in, especially as your body weight comes down. But at the same time, don't be a bitch and don't give up ground that you've worked hard in the off season to build. So yeah, anyway guys, obviously gonna wait for Jake to get here and then we'll crack on, and I'm looking forward to the film. I'll probably get meal 4 in when I get home, obviously later on. All right guys, so we have made it back. The film was obviously class 10/10 for me. Me and Jake were obviously talking when the credits rolled, and I think we both agreed that it is definitely top 4 films of all time for us both. For me, it might be a wee bit higher. But anyway, got a final meal to get in here, which is 75 grams of oats, 40 grams away, 100 grams of blueberries, and I've also got 1 Cavarge, I think that's how you pronounce it anyway, yogurt to get in with this. I'm not gonna lie, essentially what I've done there is combined what is usually 2 meals except I've reduced the yogurts down to just one, and instead I whacked some extra whey into that meal 3 that I had pre-workout. So usually I would have 5 meals, but today we are just running the 4 because obviously the film was 3 hours, and travelling to the Craigavon Omniplex and back obviously took some time. Oh mate, why do they always put the scoop right at the fucking bottom of these tubs? I actually got a delivery while I was away. Sticky toffee is back in the mix. It's definitely the best, in my opinion, definitely the best perform flavour. Slightly overdone it, but sure, fuck it, extra protein. If it's like 1 or 2 grams, I really don't care. Yeah guys, so this is it, final meal of the day. That takes my totals for the day to 228 grams of protein, 273 grams of carbs, and 41 fat. I'm a couple grams shy of my actual targets on each of those over in protein by a gram. But I'm not really too worried about that, given the fact that obviously I'm getting a pizza tomorrow night. So anyway, that is us for now, obviously. So I will check in with you guys again tomorrow, probably before I head to the gym. I'm gonna try and condense the upper session because I know this has been a bit of a long video so far, and upper is my longest session of the week in terms of exercises. I think there's 9 in there. So I'll probably just record the main lifts just to try and keep things somewhat condensed. Otherwise, this is going to be an hour-long vlog, and I'm sure there's many of you that would quite like that. But for me, yeah, I'd like to keep things a little bit shorter. Also, as well, did pick up some 3D, which I'm looking forward to trying. These are actually the new cans. I'm not really sure if the formula has actually changed too much. But yeah, I got those as part of my order there as well from Protein Pick and Mix. Also got a free ghost, which you can never complain about. So yeah guys, anyway, I'll catch you in the next clip.